hold.
Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My contribution, I think, will follow on from the previous speakers, and specifically talking about Clause 7. And I want to just finish my earlier train of thought around what this may mean for Māori, and that point where, one, there hasn't been good consultation leading up to this point. Two, that cabinet papers indicate that the minister is looking at the least amending the provisions to place for whānau hapu and iwi, and that is not just immediate family. And to say that actually there is no safe person within someone's iwi is an extraordinary statement that cannot be anything but racist. And then to say that this is about, enhancing opportunities for iwi, it's frankly ridiculous. And we need to remember that it's been 30 years, I think, 20 or 30 years since Puao Te Asatu, that was a result of such heartbreak for Māori, of seeing children taken out of families and put into residences and abused and harmed. And the consequences of that time we are still living with. Most of the people in our prisons were those people. And we got that report because we recognised a need for a fundamental change. And yet here we are, moving backwards from that time, back to that time, when so much of the thought about what was going wrong with our system at the moment and how to address it was the focus of the Māori Party previously in the development of whānau ora. And actually that was supposed to be the response to this, to be able to build out whānau, to be able to, so that they were not in the point of having children needing to leave their immediate family. And yet that has not been properly resourced. And now we're having legislation that again provides some very, very mixed messages. But now to speak to what this may mean for other, say, Pākehā services who, even if they were just working with Pākehā families, I want to address. And where the minister is given saying, well, actually in the previous national member, John O'Naylor's saying, well, actually, why should we have this role of uplifting children, of searching homes to go and find children and assess if they're in danger and removing the kids restricted to child, youth and family? Why couldn't that role been given to a nice, lovely NGO who's got a nice relationship and wouldn't be quite so scary? Well, the NGOs that presented in front of the committee that member sat on told us they do not want that role. That actually core to their ability to have that relationships with those families is the fact that they do not do that work. They do not have the potential to come and uplift those families' kids. That actually relationship is at the heart of that work. And to actually uplift the children is to actually undermine the entire process. And we also need to recognise, and it was stated very clearly by the New Zealand Council for Christian Social Services, that talking about handing over roles to the community sector and NGOs at a time where they are so underfunded, that their staff are just at breaking point, that we heard on the homelessness inquiry that it was a little bit like being in a war zone without medicine because they haven't had funding increases for 8 years. The talk about giving those agencies and those staff members roles far, far beyond what they have now is irresponsible, frankly. And that we were told that very clearly in the committee process. And we need to recognise as well that the oversight of the system is also inadequately funded, that the Office for the Commissioner for Children has that statutory role for ensuring safety. And they have said that within the existing centralised system, they are not funded to be able to adequately ensure the safety of the children. So then if you talk about delegating out those responsibilities and powers, how on earth can they provide that check and balance when they can't do it in a centralised system? We also heard from NGOs that they were very concerned that this would have an impact on maintaining expertise and lead to the fragmentation of the system. It's worrying, to say the least.